YouTube, what is up? James here. It's been a long time since I've made a video, and that's just because life kind of caught up with me and I've been too busy doing other stuff. Totally fine. When I do have the inspiration to make a video here lately on this specific channel, it's been because of or related to Cleveland sports. I'm a huge Cleveland Indians fan, huge Cleveland Browns fan, and if you know me, you've known that my whole life. If you pay attention to the NFL and football, let alone the Cleveland Browns, you're probably pretty aware of a situation unfolding within the Browns organization currently. And that situation is with wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., who, after getting here 3 years ago, traded from New York, got here, didn't play particularly well his first year here, but neither did Baker Mayfield, neither did the entire team. They kind of stunk that year. They had high expectations and fell apart. And then after that, last season, the Browns were doing okay. They were kind of a middling team. And then Odell Beckham Jr. got injured and was off the field. And suddenly the Browns blew up. And Baker Mayfield played like a top 5 QB in Odell's absence in 2020, and he absolutely was a top 5 QB without Odell on the field. Fast forward to this current season, 2021, and Browns off to a rocky start halfway through the season. We're at 500, 4-4, and Odell Beckham Jr. has been back from injury and not playing incredibly well, particularly has a couple very, very, very costly and horrendous drops, balls that literally hit him right in the hands. He just dropped on a 4th and 2 and a 4th and 4 in a couple different games, as well as just some of his body language being a little bit awkward, seeing him kind of slow down on, jog through some of his routes, just being out there not looking like he is there to play. So with all of that in mind, a couple days ago, Odell Beckham Sr., OBJ's father, posted a video to his Instagram that was an edited video of a bunch of film of times when Odell was open and not given the ball, not passed the ball by Baker Mayfield. And it was kind of skewed as a way to say that Odell deserves to play with somebody better than Baker Mayfield, and Baker's not a good quarterback, and adding to this narrative that maybe Baker's not the guy in Cleveland. And in addition to that, LeBron James also tweeted something along the lines about Odell deserves better and to free Odell, which is fine. I mean, obviously, Odell Beckham's father, the OBS, I guess, wants the best for his son, wants his son to excel and be what he once was, and that's fine. But I think we all know, as Cleveland Browns fans who have been watching this closely, and I was a huge Odell fan and a huge fan of him coming to the Browns, and I supported him through all of this, through all the media saying that, maybe Odell and Baker don't work together, the Browns are better without Odell. I was always along the lines of, well, let's wait and see. Let's let Odell get healthy. Let's let them work together within the Kevin Stefanski offense. Let's let the system work itself out and let them build that chemistry and get to a point where Odell can be a big playmaker and a game changer for the Browns. Because, frankly, last year, the one thing we were kind of missing on this team was an over-the-top threat for the big, deep ball plays that could take the top off of defense and all the things that you hear analysts say all the time. Well, I was willing to wait and see, and we waited and saw. Odell is not what he used to be. He's not the same dude that made that incredible grab when he played for the Giants that is known as the catch at this point. Every single football highlight reel you ever see from now until the end of time is going to have that highlight in it. He is a dude that has been here and for the most part has had a decent attitude about being in Cleveland. However, he has been here for 3 years now, and it has either been injuries or like this whole Baker and Odell chemistry thing, they don't seem to mesh well on the field, which is fine. It happens. He hasn't been like the diva wide receiver big baby that people presume him to be or assume he was. He hasn't shown that outwardly until this moment, and I'm not saying that he's necessarily being that way right now. However, you have to assume that his father posting this video that's very slanted and very skewed, kind of speaking ill of OBJ's quarterback, Baker Mayfield, while at the same time trying to be like, free Odell, like he's some sort of prisoner in Cleveland Browns organization. You gotta think that OBJ either knew that was going to happen, encouraged it to happen, or if he was surprised like everybody else and made aware, agreed with it enough to not publicly say something about it, like kind of distancing himself from that take to try to maintain and keep the peace. You can kind of feel like Odell wants out. And it's not him outwardly acting a fool or being kind of a diva, but it kind of low-key is. In addition to LeBron James, like, if Odell wanted to be here and wanted to progress and move forward with the Cleveland Browns, he probably would have came out and said, look, that's my dad, that's not me, he means well, or whatever. However, that's not the case. I'm happy here. I'm here to win. Just like Tom Brady had to do at some point, and where Tom Brady's dad said something about New England or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Tom Brady came out and said, yeah, my dad must have been drinking that night, or whatever the case may have been. And it was like, hey, that's not my opinion. That's just my dad's. I'm not represented by him. His opinions are not my own. Whatever. The other thing I will say about it is if you look at the video of the film of OBJ not being thrown the ball when wide open, sure, you can find film about, with that same context with any receiver and quarterback in the league. I'm sure that, like, even the Top Gun receivers, you could probably find video of Devontae Adams being wide open and Aaron Rodgers going elsewhere. It's part of the game of football. You don't just throw to exactly one guy all of the time and hope for the best to happen. There are plays designed for certain situations. There are scheming sort of situations. There's specific coverages you may look for. And sometimes you just don't, a quarterback is, doesn't see something in the moment, and that is fine. They all do it. What I will say, as a dude who has been riding with the Browns my entire life and very happy with Baker Mayfield as my quarterback for the Browns since he was drafted, through all of the ups and downs, because there have been some ups and downs at this point now with Baker Mayfield. Baker's not a perfect quarterback, but if you look at Baker Mayfield with Odell Beckham Jr. on the field specifically and on this team, and without him on this team, it's kind of a tale of two different quarterbacks. And for whatever reason, I don't care. If Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback when Odell's not around, it's time for Odell to be out of Cleveland. I put more faith that Baker Mayfield can perform at a high level than I do in Odell Beckham Jr. performing at a high level. And that's just for the sheer fact that Baker's a young quarterback. He's talented. He does have a very accurate arm. Somebody else who's much better at YouTube than I am made a video that compares the start of Baker Mayfield's career to the start of Drew Brees' career, and how they're almost identical in the parallels and the different situations that those two players came into the NFL out of, and how their careers have gone thus far. And I'm not saying that that Baker Mayfield is Drew Brees, or he's going to pan out as, Hall of Famer Drew Brees, one of the most accurate arms ever to play the game. Drew Brees is. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield is that, but if Baker Mayfield can be 70% of Drew Brees, that's a phenomenal quarterback, and that's somebody I am willing to have in Cleveland for a long term, if possible. So, if you look at Baker without Odell on the field, last season they played against the Bengals, and early in the first quarter was when Odell tore his ACL and was out for the rest of the season. As soon as Odell was off the field, Baker threw for 5 touchdowns, brought the Browns to a victory, and they went on to end the season 11-5, win a playoff game in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. And absolutely, Baker was a top 5 quarterback in the league then. And with Odell on the field, Baker doesn't look so good. And there's a number of reasons for that. But if Odell is a very big glaring reason, then it's time to stop it with Odell. Odell's not going to be in Cleveland long term anyway. Even if he rides out the last couple years of his contract in Cleveland, he's not going to retire a Cleveland Brown. He, based on the first 3 years that he played for the Browns, or 2+ years he played for the Browns, he's not going to be known as an all-time great of the Cleveland Browns. It's just not in the cards for Odell, and that's fine. Let Odell go and sign elsewhere. A big part of things, I guess now, Odell was excused from practice now for the second day in a row. A big part of things that people are speculating is the Browns don't just want to cut him directly because they're on the hook for $8 million, which makes sense. I wouldn't want to lose $8 million if I had a business to run. But also people are saying they don't want him to then go ahead and turn around and sign with the Steelers or the Ravens or even another AFC team like the Chiefs, another competing team in the AFC that we're going to maybe have to face again in the playoffs at this point if we make the playoffs. Which I understand. They don't want to help another team improve and become more of a threat. But at this point, honestly, I don't think Odell Beckham's going to make another team better. I don't think he gets to a team that's already a contender and makes them more of a contender. Maybe he goes to a mediocre team and helps them improve a little bit, but I don't think Odell's going to make the Buffalo Bills any better. I think the Buffalo Bills are just fine where they're at now with their receivers. Maybe he makes the Steelers, helps them out in the absence of Juju Smith-Schuster. Sure. Maybe he goes to Baltimore and plays with Lamar Jackson, which he'll probably have some reason to complain about that because Lamar runs a lot, and that team is another run-first offense that doesn't really go deep down the field all of the time with the football. But at this point, it's time to say goodbye to Odell. And like I said, I was a fan of bringing him to Cleveland. It just didn't pan out. I bought a jersey. I have an Odell Beckham Cleveland Browns jersey hanging in my closet because, I supported the move and I wanted it to work out. I desperately wanted for Odell to be what he was early on in his career and just ball out for the Cleveland Browns and have all those highlight moments of him in brown and orange. Didn't work out. That's okay. What I will say is I hope that this team, once Odell is gone, because I feel like last Sunday was his last game with the Browns, I hope that they rally around Baker, they rally together, and get their shit together this season, because this season's looking grim the way things are right now, the way this team is playing, and that's not Odell's fault completely. He is responsible for some problems they've had on offense, but maybe with his absence, with him gone, everybody could take a breath of fresh air and relax and settle in and work together and fix this offense and fix this football team and become a contender again in 2021. I'm tired of going into every single season optimistic and having big expectations for the Browns, and then for something like this to happen or some sort of weird situation to come up where the Browns screw it up. Whether it's Freddie Kitchens getting hired as the head coach and that being a whole mess, or it's Baker not playing to his full potential because the system he's in is yet another new system with another young coaching staff or a new coach. We're in the second year of Stefanski's offense. Baker is playing through injuries right now. What he needs to do is just focus on the task at hand, winning next week and the week after that, and moving forward. And Odell doesn't need to be a part of that equation. He wasn't last year, and look at what they did. They made it to the playoffs for the first time in forever. They won a playoff game for the first time since '94, and the Browns became a legitimate contender. let's keep that rolling. Let's keep that moving. Odell or not, I feel like the drama that he brings to the locker room at this point, not saying he has the whole time, but now currently, even if they could reconcile, the drama that he would bring into the locker room anyway, after all of this has happened, not worth it. Not worth a damn. It's not worth it if he, makes a couple spectacular catches throughout the season and it's like, okay, cool. He had some highlights. Good for him. Not worth it. I want Baker Mayfield to be throwing to receivers that want to be in the building and care about winning. The Jarvis Landrys, the Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, the rookie they have, Anthony Schwartz, who's got speed and can do some of the same things that they had Odell there to do. They need to focus on that. They need to get that run game going again, get Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt back healthy once he's back, and lean on Dearness Johnson and Demetri Felton while Kareem's out. Work the run game, keep that offensive line going, and try to get everybody back healthy and work it out. And the defense needs to continue stepping up and playing okay. Like, they played well enough against the Steelers last Sunday, only allowing 15 points. It's just the offense couldn't hold up their end. So that needs to start happening, and with that, I think the Browns still have a shot this season. We're 4-4 now. It's a long season ahead and a lot of tough games, but I think they could grind it out, especially if they march into Cincinnati and play this Bengals team who just up out of nowhere decided that they were going to be a good team this year and beats them in a division match outside of their home stadium or whatever, playing on the road, marches into Cincinnati and beats the Bengals. I think that can be a turning point and can propel this team to the upper echelon of teams in the AFC and in the NFL, and hopefully into the playoffs and further. I want this team to win a fucking Super Bowl more than anything in the world, honestly. Like, between the Browns and the Indians, like, just before I die, just one. I need a Super Bowl, I need a World Series, just one before I die, and then I could die at least satisfied, the sports part of me satisfied. Either way, that's all I've got to say about it. It's time for Odell to go. It's time for these Browns to get on track and make a run at this damn thing, and I hope they do it. I've ranted and rambled long enough. That's all I've got. I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you.